Part 2 now of our CBS 3 investigation. The unfolding environmental disaster in East Palestine, Ohio is stirring dreaded memories for a local mayor in South Jersey.
And Chief Investigative Reporter Joe Holden joining us live in the studio with more of the latest here.
Yeah, Natasha and Yuki, and one of the things that we learned is the feeling of again. This time for this mayor watching this unfold from afar. Vinyl chloride leaked in Ohio, 1 million pounds there. In Paulsboro, New Jersey in 2012. It was 20,000 gallons. Vinyl chloride is used to make PVC plastics. Overexposure can damage the liver, and that's not all. And after years of dealing with the contamination and the cleanup, the mayor of Paulsboro's message to East Palestine leaders: take care of your people. Irma Stevenson remembers the fanfare. Ironic, considering a train had just derailed, flooding the creek with what investigators say were 20,000 gallons of toxic vinyl chloride.
And the politicians, they came, they had their podiums, and we're going to do this.
Stevenson said those political promises dissipated much like that chemical fog. But there are the haunting memories. The news cameras, officials, and lawyers, she says, armed with non-disclosure agreements.
And they were mad because we wouldn't sign. I said, no, I'm getting my own lawyer. Well, after that.
That was the end of it, huh?
They're very nice until then.
Irma's son, Gary, is Paulsboro's mayor. At the time of the 2012 crash, he was on town council and an assistant fire chief.
And that bridge it was, what, 130 some years old?
Gary Stevenson made a prediction. He expects the disaster in East Palestine, Ohio, to fade from the headlines in no time, like what he says happened in Paulsboro. He argues maybe people think it wasn't that bad, but the what-ifs occupy his nightmares.
The next 7 cars were LPG, floating bombs, literally bombs. If one of them went in, you and I wouldn't be having this conversation. Half my town would be gone. And the only thing why this isn't a lot more is because no one's died. That takes it to a whole different level.
The federal investigation found several causes for the crash, including a locking mechanism failing on the movable bridge crossing Mantua Creek. The bridge rotated, the rails misaligned, and the train derailed. A fog of vinyl chloride emanated from a punctured tanker. Hundreds were evacuated, some were kept away for weeks. Because of his exposure, Stevenson said his doctors advised he should brace for health impacts.
15 to 20 years, your lungs will start to be bad, and your liver, something that the enzymes in the liver will start to go, and that's what he told me. I don't know. No one's ever come back to follow up with me and say, hey, we found this out about vinyl chloride, and that's what I kind of worry about the people in Ohio.
The stigma of a toxic fallout zone cratered Paulsboro's Main Street economy. The mayor says stores closed and businesses failed. Despite the multiple investigations and probes, Gary Stevenson isn't optimistic lessons have been learned.
I guarantee you that nothing's changed from 10 years ago. That could happen tomorrow.
And for this town bisected by rail lines, people here try not to dwell on worst-case scenarios like the one a decade ago. They go to work and come home. Irma Stevenson, now in her 70s, tells me she is a fan of the night shift.
Well, I'm a nurse. My husband's a barge captain for Exxon. You know, we're all
Hard workers.
Damn hard workers.
You chose to stay?
This is my home. I'm Paulsboro. This is my town. They're not moving me out.
Well, the memories do linger, and as a result, Mayor Gary Stevenson is expected to speak to lawmakers in Washington later this month about how Paulsboro cleaned up that vinyl chloride. He told CBS 3 it was a long process riddled with mistakes. Meanwhile, Conrail, in the last hour, did respond to our request for comment on our reporting. Quote, Conrail continues to support, prepare, and engage with local communities, stakeholders, and regional, state, and federal officials and agencies within our operating footprint to ensure the safe movement of freight. In citing federal data, Conrail also added 99.9% of all hazardous materials reach their destination without incident. So Natasha and Yuki, of course, the ghosts of the past very much still linger in the background as the days, the moments, the time right now playing out in Ohio. And Mayor Gary Stevenson very open with us about what hasn't worked since then.
Yeah,
Seems like yesterday, doesn't it?
About it. I was there covering it that night, so I'll never forget that.
Joe,
Thank you so much, Joe.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.